In Forbidden Fruits, free-eating employee Apple secretly runs a witchy femme cult in the basement of the mall store after hours with fellow fruits Sherry and Fig. But when new hire Pumpkin challenges their performative sisterhood, the women are forced to face their own poisons or succumb to a bloody fate. Forbidden Fruits is directed by Meredith Alloway, and this film is her directorial debut, and Forbidden Fruits debuted at the 2026 South by Southwest Film Festival and will be released in US cinemas starting March 27. Forbidden Fruits is a very strange film. The best way to describe it is a cross between maybe The Craft and Mean Girls, but it also has its own unique style. I think this film is going to be pretty divisive for most people. I think it's going to become a cult film. I don't think it's going to be for everybody. For me, I enjoyed it for the most part. I did have some reservations, but for the most part, I did enjoy its kooky, cult thing that it's trying to do. They're trying to market this film as a horror movie, but I think if you go into this film, I think it's a horror movie, you're going to be disappointed because the blood and the horror elements are not really introduced until the final maybe 10-15 minutes of the film, and the first 1 hour and 20 minutes of the film is basically just a black comedy, satirical. It's about these four girls. We've got the Apple played by Lily Reinhart. We've got Pumpkin played by Lola Tung, Sherry played by Victoria Pedretti, and Fig played by Alexandra Shipp. The three of the girls, they work in this kind of high-end fashion clothing shop. It's a fake called Free Eden, and this movie is kind of making fun of those. I've worked at the mall, and if you ever worked at the mall, there's these girls who work at this that they get paid like $10-$50 an hour. They're getting paid like minimum wage, but they dress as if they're working on Beverly Hills. They're better than everybody else, and this movie kind of makes fun of those girls who work at those type of shops. And Lily Reinhart, she plays Apple, and she's basically the head of this witchy cult. And I think throughout the years they've had different members of this cult, but at the moment it's Apple, Sherry, and Fig. And Apple is kind of very bossy. She basically invents the rules, and she tells the other girls what they can do with their private life, and they can't have a boyfriend. She's, I guess, secretly she's not really interested in men, and she doesn't really want the other girls in the cult to have the relationships as well. We're introduced to Pumpkin, played by Lola Tung, and she is working in the mall, just sampling foods, but she really wants to work at this shop. And as the film goes on, we find out her ulterior motive. She has an ulterior motive to work at this shop, and she has connections with one of the girls. The film opens with Lily Reinhardt drive into the mall in her car, and there's a quite amusing scene, and that kind of sets the tone for what the film is going to be. And I wish you really honed in more on that. The horror elements of the film kind of seem a little bit out of place sometimes. I really like the production design and cinematography in this film. The film is solely set in a mall. There's literally just one location, so it's inside the mall, inside this free eating shop, and occasionally we go outside into the parking lot. But pretty much the whole film is set in this mall, and they do a great job of just the colors and just every scene just trying to make it new and make it fresh. I think the performances in this film were quite good, but I think the standout is probably Lily Reinhardt as Apple. She probably gives her best performance she's done so far, and she really does command the screen in this film. For me, even though the film does a great job of capturing this more and it looks great, I think that it just maybe a little bit claustrophobic. I just kind of wish the film branched out a little bit more. And I think maybe by the halfway mark or the 1 hour mark of the film, I was just kind of waiting for something to happen. As the film goes on, the tensions are rising, and we're getting to know more about the backstory about these girls. And it does slowly escalate as the film goes on. But by the halfway mark of the film, I was thinking, okay, where is this film going? It just seems to be plotting. The pacing is a little bit off, and that combined with the claustrophobic setting of the film, just kind of weighed on my patience a little bit. But in the final half hour of the film, once we see Pumpkin's true motives and the horror elements of the film are introduced in the final act of the film doesn't really pick up. And make sure you stay tuned to during the end credits, because we finally get to find out who this mysterious Sharon, the manager of this free agent store. Like we only get to see her voice or see her legs or something. So during the end credits, we finally get to see the true identity of her as well. I give Forbidden Fruits 3 stars out of 5. This is going to definitely be a cult film. It's not for everybody, but if you can kind of jive with what it's doing, then I think you're going to enjoy this film. It's a very dark type of comedy that introduces some horror elements towards the end of the film, and has a really standout performance by Lily Reinhart as Apple, and it has a really nice satirical humor throughout the film. So it's kind of a strange film, but I do recommend it if it kind of seems like something that you would enjoy. So what did you think of Forbidden Fruits? Please comment below what you thought of the film. See you next time. Bye.